is Rogers TV.
Interest payments were going up, creditors were calling. I finally realized I needed help. The people at Janes & Noseworthy really took care of me, and I'm glad I chose a local solution. I felt like they understood me better. Getting help with my debt has given me the energy, the headspace, and the time to make my dreams come true. A chance to start again with knowledge, support, and people in your corner. Are you looking for that kind of help? It's okay.
Learn more about Leah's story at janesnoseworthy.ca.
Yo. Yep. Okay, I'll be there.
Good evening, everybody. How are you getting on? It's your boy DC coming at you from the Rogers TV's Out of the Fog stage. Can you believe we have 21 seasons of doing this incredible show? So many leaders in the spaces of arts, entertainment, not-for-profit, and business have all shared their stories right here on this stage, and we're so excited on behalf of myself and Jason and Laura Bell coming at you for season 21 of Out of the Fog. Now, something else I'm excited about is tonight is part one of a two-part series. The Writers Alliance of Newfoundland and Labrador worked so hard to make sure that all of the writers in the house, that's fiction and non, every type of discipline, are seen and heard for the incredible work they do to bring stories of every kind through to help our province get out there and to make the waves that they've been doing such a good job of making. Tonight is the youth and young adult part of this awards plenary. You're going to see all sorts of exciting authors and writers come together to celebrate the hard work they do all year. So sit back and get ready for part one of the Writers Alliance 26th Annual Book Awards. We'll be right back.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Hi, I'm Carl Wells, getting ready to record another edition of Carl Wells Point to Point. It's a program where I chat with members of our community and they talk candidly about their lives and careers, from their earliest dreams to their greatest triumphs. I think you'll find it informative and entertaining. Please join us for Carl Wells Point to Point, right here on Rogers TV.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Rogers Out of the Fog, season 21. And speaking of seasons, we have the 26th Annual Writers Alliance of Newfoundland and Labrador's Book Awards. Let's go back.
In that case, welcome to the 26th Annual Newfoundland and Labrador Book Awards. This evening's event is celebrating the finalists of the 2022 Bruno Family Children's Young Adult Award. As Jen kindly introduced, my name is Andrew Hawthorn. I'm a writer and I'm a reporter and host from CBC here in St. John's. And I'm also a big fan of children's literature. And someday I hope to graduate to the non-picture kind. But for now, I'm very good here. I have a long history, as I'm sure many of you do, with this library. My grandfather used to take me to the AC Hunter every week for story time to read, and I wanted to leave so little that I would go and hide in the coats so that he couldn't get at me. And I'm still here now, so obviously that left a big effect on me. And that's the power these kinds of books can have on children coming to places like this and hearing the stories that we're going to hear tonight, which is why it's so important to recognize the people writing these books with awards like this one tonight. Before we begin, though, on behalf of the Writers Alliance, I'd really like to take a moment to say that we're holding the awards this year on the week of the second annual National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. That's Friday. And we wanted to begin by respectfully acknowledging the land on which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk. We're fortunate to be here in a library surrounded by the stories of hundreds of cultures from entirely around the world. But we also take time to remember two tonight, the Beothuk whose stories have been lost forever. We also acknowledge the island of Dahumguk as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq, and we acknowledge Labrador as the traditional ancestral homelands of the Innu of Nitassinan, and the Inuit of Nunatsiavut, and the Inuit of Nunatukavut. We recognize all the First Peoples who were here before us, who live still with us now and the 7 generations to come. As First Peoples have done since time immemorial, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect the cultures, the ceremonies, and the traditions of those who call it home. As we open our hearts and minds to the past, let us commit ourselves to working in a spirit of truth and reconciliation for the future. And there are few better ways to ensure a better future than by introducing our children to some very good books. And that's what we're here to do right now. The annual book awards held by the Writers Alliance of Newfoundland and Labrador. So I'd like to take a moment to say some words about them as well. That's an organization for anyone interested in writing in the province, giving members access to free workshops, paid reading opportunities, contests, and more. There are membership discounts as well for seniors and students and people who are unemployed. And again, something to underline this week as part of Truth and Reconciliation, in their commitment to equity and inclusion, the Writers Alliance is also offering free memberships to Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who are Black, who are Indigenous, or people of color. So for everyone out there, you might want to check them out, especially if you're inspired by the books that are being read here tonight, or conversely, if you hear them and say, I could write better than that, well, you better prove it. So join up with WANL and put your time where your mouth is. No offense. All right, let's get started. First, I would like to introduce the winner of the 2020 Bruno Family Children's Young Adult Award for Ghost Road, Charis Cotter. Charis is actually shortlisted for 2 separate books this evening, so an immense overachiever. Her books Footsteps in Bay de Verde and The Dollhouse are both nominated. Charis is going to first be reading from The Dollhouse, and here is what the jury had to say. A cross between Alice in Wonderland and Narnia, with some time travel thrown in for good measure, cleanly and beautifully written, Charis Cotter's style is consistent and never flags. 12-year-old Alice finds her summer plans upended when her parents suddenly separate. She must go with her mother, who takes a job with a mean elderly lady in a creepy old house in a small town far, far away. When Alice discovers an exquisitely detailed dollhouse in the attic of her house, it provides a portal to people and events of decades past, and Alice is drawn into these experiences. The character of Alice is real and well drawn. Lily and Bubble, who are developmentally challenged, are sensitively portrayed, adding an extra dimension of sweetness to the story. There's an even pull of events as the plot unfolds in a gentle fashion. Like Alice, the reader is unsure what is real and what is imagined. The haunted house within a haunted house concept is unique and original, scary without being too frightening, and an excellent spooky story written to be savored. Ladies and gentlemen, Charis Cotter.
Thank you, Andrew. So I'm really happy to be here tonight. This is a lot of fun and kind of nerve-wracking too. But I just wanted to show this is the dollhouse. That's the cover to the folks at home, I guess we call you. Okay, so just to give you a little background, because my reading comes from near the beginning of the book. Alice and her mother have gone to live in a beautiful old Georgian mansion for the summer. Alice's mother is a nurse, and she's been hired to look after Mrs. Bishop, the elderly owner of the house, who has broken her leg. From the moment she first sees the house, Alice is convinced that it is haunted. This scene takes place on Alice's first night in the house. She is sleeping in a luxurious room in a 4-poster bed that has an old-fashioned china doll lying on the pillow. So it's chapter 6, and it's called The Ghost Room. I don't know what woke me up. I opened my eyes, and for a moment, I wasn't sure where I was. I seemed to be floating in some kind of pale green bubble, faintly lit from outside by a white light. My first thought was that I'd somehow fallen into the jellied salad. But then I woke up a little more and realized that the green was the bed curtains that hung all around the bed, and the white light was from the moon. Someone sighed beside me in the semi-darkness. I froze. "Mom?" I squeaked. The person sighed again, and there was a movement beside me as if they had turned over. There was somebody with me in the bed. Was it the ghost Lily had told me about? I felt icy cold and burning hot all at the same time. I couldn't breathe. I tried to turn and look, but I couldn't move. It was as if I was suddenly paralyzed. I swiveled my eyes to the right. Something was there. A lump under the covers, a head on the pillow. "Mom?" I whispered. And then I managed to turn my head ever so slightly. A girl lay beside me, sleeping. She was about my age, with dark red hair and a few freckles across her nose. She was breathing softly. I stared at her. Was this the ghost Lily had seen? Who else could it be? But she didn't look like a ghost. Her chest was rising and falling gently as she slept. I've never been so scared in all my life. I wanted to scream, but I still couldn't move. All my limbs felt heavy, like I would never lift them. A pressure was building up on my chest, and I felt like I would burst. I needed to breathe, but I couldn't. She opened her eyes and looked at me. They were green, like the bed curtains. She blinked a couple of times. "Hello," she whispered, smiling. "Is it time to wake up?" The scream ripped out of me and just kept on going, getting louder and louder. I shut my eyes tight so I wouldn't see her anymore. Everything grew very dark. After what seemed like a very long time and a lot of screaming, there was a fumbling at the door and my mother was at my side. "Alice, Alice, are you okay? What's wrong?" I opened my eyes. The girl was gone. The doll lay where she had been, with her head on the pillow and her auburn hair peeking out from beneath her lacy cap. And that's my reading. Thank you. Thanks.
Charis, Cotter, everybody. Next up, I would like to introduce our next shortlist author, Sheilah Lukins. Sheilah's first book in the Errol's Adventure series, Full Speed Ahead, Errol's Gander Adventure, was the winner of the 2018 Bruno Family Children's and Young Adult Award. And we are very happy to have Sheilah read from her shortlist book in the series again, Once Upon an Iceberg, which is a really great title, right? Once Upon an Iceberg. The title alone, folks. Here's what the jury had to say about it. Errol the Mouse is off on a new adventure, the third book in the series. This time he travels to Twillingate, where his mission is to find the father of his friend Gus. A delightful first chapter book for young readers. Sheilah's writing is clear and uncluttered with lovely short sentences and punchy verbs. Tidbits of Newfoundland history are dropped into the story like pearls, pure and simple and never overly instructive. There's plenty of action and near misses to keep young readers on their toes, adorable characters that kids will love, each with distinctive personality traits. The illustrations are sweet and colorful, full of interesting details, waiting to be discovered, charming and fun to read, and a lovely comment on family and our connection to home. Sheilah Lukins.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to start at the beginning of the book. A chilly night wind blew whitecaps across Conception Bay, and the trees on Beachy Cove Drung swayed in the moonlight. Old Rat closed his suitcase and tied a red scarf around his neck. "When will you be back?" Errol pouted. "In a few nights. I'm going to visit my cousins at Beachy Cove River." Errol stomped his foot. "I want to go too." "Not this time." Old Rat picked up his suitcase. A disappointed Errol waved goodbye to his friend as the first rays of sunlight peeped over the horizon. He wasn't ready for bed yet. even though the rest of his family were settling down for a good day's sleep. Wandering off into the long grass, he found a colony of ants. Just as he lay down to watch them, a thunderous bark made him jump. He heard heavy panting. The strong scent of dog was getting closer. He was trapped. Errol backed into the shelter of a stone wall, closed his eyes, and waited for the dog to pounce. When he opened one eye to peek out, a large black nose and two big brown eyes stared down at him. "Hi, how's it going? I'm Gus. I live down the lane with Brandon. What's your name?" Slimy drool dangled from the dog's mouth, glistening in the sunlight. My name," Errol pressed closer to the wall, "is Errol. Would you like to play with me?" Gus grinned. "I'd rather not." Errol's paws clutched at the rock. Gus's head drooped. He looked so unhappy that Errol felt sorry for him. "How can we play when you're so big and I'm so small?" "I could take you for rides on my back," Gus wagged his tail, "and I could take you to Twillingate with me. We're going to Granny Boyd's for the weekend." "Twillingate?" Errol's insides bubbled with excitement. "I'd love to go to Twillingate. Hold on, I'll be right back." There we go. Thank you.
We didn't tell you could end your reading on a cliffhanger like that. All right, folks online, give me a thumbs up, and everybody here as well. Anyone else whose insides have also bubbled with excitement when you go to Twillingate? Yeah? Anybody? Yes, see? I knew it. Sheilah, Lucas, thank you very much for that. That was incredible. And now on to our last reading of the evening. This author needs no introduction. I already did it earlier this evening. Charis Cotter is going to read from her second shortlisted book, Footsteps in Beta Verde. Here's what the jury had to say. An imaginative retelling of an old Newfoundland ghost story, Charis Cotter weaves the tale from a child's point of view as three children listen to grown-ups tell stories on a cold winter's night. A true story gently evoking the atmosphere of an Outport Newfoundland kitchen a century ago. There's a delightful lilt and wonderful pacing as events unfold, beautiful spare writing, authentic characters, and pitch-perfect dialogue. Spooky without being terrifying. An author's note at the end explains where the story comes from, adding depth and interest, and a bonus for adults and children wanting more. The book is beautifully designed with warm, realistic illustrations that give the look and feel of times past. A concise, well-rounded story written simply enough for children, yet eloquently and classic enough to appeal to adults. And in the end, the question remains open. What really happened here? Truly mysterious. Charis Cotter.
Thank you, Andrew. I just want to show you the cover. The illustrator is Jenny Dwyer, and it's, let's see if you can see it there, these three terrified children in bed with ghosts in their house. So, okay, so Footsteps in Beta Verde is a true story that was told to me by a man named Brian Walsh, a wonderful Newfoundland storyteller. It happened to his very own mother a long time ago, before Confederation, before electricity, when Newfoundland at night was a lot darker than it is now. Bridie was a little girl who lived in Beta Verde with her little sister Teresa and her big brother John. And there was nothing she liked better than the nights when all the neighbors would come in and sit around the kitchen table and tell stories. One stormy night, the neighbors gathered around the kerosene lamp to tell stories, and someone mentioned Poor Kay. Poor Kay was Jim Kay, a cousin of Bridie's mother. Everyone called him Poor Kay because of his troubles. He enjoyed the old stories almost as much as Bridie did and never missed a night if he could help it. But 3 weeks ago, he got on the train to go to the hospital in St. John's and hadn't been seen since. Bridie liked poor Kay. He always had candy in his pockets and a joke or two. Cataracts or no cataracts, he could still find his way around the steep, twisting pathways of Bay de Verde, dragging his bad leg behind him. It was easy to recognize his step when he came in the front door on story nights. Bang went the door as he opened it. Then came his footsteps. Step, shuffle, thump. Step, shuffle, thump. There's poor Kay now, someone would say, and a few seconds later he'd limp in the kitchen door, grinning. Bridie's mother would get up and find him a seat and a drink, and the kids would sidle up to him so he could slip them a toffee or a peppermint knob. Poor Kay, said Bridie's mother, let's hope he gets home for Christmas. Christmas was still 4 weeks away. The wind howled around the house, trying to get in. Did I ever tell you how Billy Cotter went stark raving mad one night in Aunt Min's lane and fell down in a fit? Asked Mr. Fleming. Bridie leaned forward to try and see him better. His face was in shadow, but just then he puffed on his pipe and a red glow lit up his bushy eyebrows. Screaming bloody murder and foaming round the mouth, continued Mr. Fleming. No one could do a thing with him. Just then, the front door crashed open. Bang! Bridie jumped. What in the name of God was that? Said her mother, starting to rise up from her chair. It's just the wind, said her father, standing up. I'll get it, Meg. But then they heard the familiar, shambling footsteps coming down the hall. Step, shuffle, thump. Step, shuffle, thump. So... I guess that's kind of a cliffhanger too.
All the cliffhangers, folks. Okay, well, obviously you're just going to have to go and get the books if you want to figure out what happened after that. Or if you want to be a little less terrified as on your way home tonight after that reading. So thank you very much to Charis and Sheilah for your readings as well. Before we get to announce the winner of this year's award, I want to thank again the sponsors, the Bruneau family, for their continued support of the NLBAs. Thanks as well to other 22 NLBA sponsors, Killick Capital, Perfect Day, the Telegram, Newfoundland and Labrador Teachers Association, Rogers Television, Newfoundland and Labrador's public libraries, as well as the government of Newfoundland and Labrador and the City of St. John's here for supporting the Writers Alliance, these awards, and all of the Writers Alliance's programs and services, which, as I mentioned earlier, you can avail of yourself if you go to wanl.ca. So it's my honor now to announce the winner of the 22 NL Book Awards for the Children's and Young Adult Literature category, which is right here. And thank you very much. So there's a problem. You'll note that I've been reading off my phone all night, and technology does rob us of some things. So. Charis Cotter for The Dollhouse. Thank you very much. Charis, so if you want to...
Beautiful, thank
there
you.
you go. If you would like to say anything, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Well, this is just beautiful. I'll hold it up so you can see it at home. There. It's kind of see-through, but has turquoise on it. It's just gorgeous. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I just wanted to say that, and I'm sure that Sheilah feels this way too, and the people who were on the long list too. It's when you get nominated for an award, it just gives you such a boost. It just makes you feel so good that somebody's recognized your work and that it's good. So I just want to say thank you so much to the Bruneau family for making this award possible, and for WANL, the Writers Alliance, for doing all the work, and the jury members, and getting the whole event together. I really appreciate it. And I also just wanted to send out a little thank you. I've got some people in Ontario that'll be watching. the person who I have a really good friend, Ruth Redelmeyer, and she lived in this incredible house. She still lives in this incredible house in Port Hope, Ontario, which was the mansion that inspired the dollhouse. And she has a little dollhouse by her bed. So that's where the story came from. So I wanted to say thank you to her, and also to my agent, Hilary McMahon, who always supported the dollhouse and believed in it. And I guess, and thank you, Sheilah and Errol, for being on the short list with me. It was a real honor to be with you, and I just love Gus. I want to hear more about Gus, the dog. But thanks, everybody. This is really thrilling, and it's going to make me happy for a very long time. Thank you. Thanks.
It all started when I racked up some serious debt. Interest payments were going up, creditors were calling. Janes and Noseworthy came up with a plan. Knowing that the phone was going to stop ringing and that I was not in this alone was a huge relief. Bankruptcy or a consumer proposal or whatever help you get is not the end. It's just the beginning. A chance to start again with knowledge and support and people in your corner. Are you ready? Get out of debt. It's okay.
Learn more about Leah's story at janesnoseworthy.ca.
And he fell. Whoa, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, Beer?
Oh, since we had that talk, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs.
I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too.
How are we getting home, then?
Well, you can drive, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
Take one for the team, buddy.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this evening to the 26th Annual Writers Alliance of Newfoundland and Labrador's Book Awards at the A.C. Hunter Library right here in our city. So go check it out. Find a book, read a book, discover a Newfoundland and Labrador author. They'll make you smile and make you proud, too. Until next time, this is Out of the Fog, and we'll see you next time.
If you have a comment about this